Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to this feedback session, Sharad. Just a quick introduction from me. I'm Girish Solanki. I'm from the UK. I'm here today to just have a quiet conversation with you, seek some feedback on the W D Gann theory that you took on board in terms of market trading methodology from Neeraj Suratwala, who is from Surat. So I'd just like to hand over to you and ask you to introduce yourself, and then we'll go into some sort of background and why you chose this methodology. Over to you,
Yeah,
Sharad.
sure. Thank you so much. My name is Sharad Chaturvedi. I'm a marketing professional for almost about 17 plus years. But the markets always intrigued me, always wanted to get a parallel income going for myself. So I embarked on the journey of learning how to do technical analysis in 2020, because that was a time which was kind of a reboot for a lot of people back in India.
Right,
So I always wanted to have an independent lifestyle. Um, the markets were possibly one of the options to, that kind of lifestyle. So the journey was actually very interesting. For 2 years, I learned technical tradings, the concepts I still use. But one thing which I felt that was lacking was the angle of time factor. And we were always very intrigued as traders about a gentleman. His name is William Delbert Gann. So we always wanted to understand what went behind a man predicting certain reversals in the market, predicting certain price points at the market time and again, and had an accuracy of almost about
right,
98%.
right.
Uh, and where he started off with a very small capital, and he's still regarded as one of the most successful traders in the history of stock market trading. So yeah, and it happens so that I always wanted to understand his concepts, but I wasn't getting really a hang of it because I read many books,
Right,
almost close to about 8 to 10 books,
right,
which were prescribed for understanding how GAN trading is actually done. But at the end of it, more than being clear, I was confused.
right,
So,
right,
so I started off, seeking out information on basic uh, social media platforms like maybe a Facebook or a Twitter,
yeah,
just to understand how, is there someone who really applies this? And I happened to stumble onto Neeraj's account, and I started following him, and I fortunately also understood that he has a course that he offers,
right,
and so I got in touch with him, and I found him uh, pretty convincing in the initial discussions.
right,
Uh, whether I should do it or whether I shouldn't be doing it, because there are many professionals in the market who charge a
yeah,
hell lot of money.
yeah,
Uh, and at the end of the day, you are left again confused rather than being clear.
yeah.
So, but the sense that I got from Neeraj was that he knew the subject.
Okay,
He was following, and he was testing, and he is back testing, and he was an experienced professional for 8 long years. So
yeah,
he knew what needs to be done, uh, in every sort of situation. Um, and it happened so that, we just instantly got off. So, um, I treat Neeraj as an instructor rather than,
yeah,
a tutor or anything else. But
yeah,
when I followed his instructions were absolutely clear. There is a certain method to the madness, and he has decoded um GAN, and his understanding on different instruments are phenomenal. So yeah, so the journey was fantastic. And Neeraj has not left anything that he knows.
Yeah.
You actually, talk about value for money, if you talk about what goes on, behind these courses, because
Yeah.
some of the professionals, they will give you maybe just 20% of it and then they'll start upselling it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
with me,
Yeah.
that's not the case. If you pay a certain amount of fee, which
Yeah.
is, I think, so a very nominal fee,
Yeah.
um, courses that exist in the market, you will suddenly see that there is a huge amount of knowledge that is not withheld from him,
Yeah.
from his side, and he is just pouring concepts that are so easy to understand, that can really make a huge difference in your trading. So
That's
yeah, I mean, I met, so I feel that uh, this element of time factor, which I was seeking to sort of demystify,
yeah.
uh, has come to a specific juncture where I'm pretty clear. I'd like to cite an example of just today. There were certain things that you actually learn, which Neeraj cascades down, which is about the law of vibration. So
Right.
it's essentially nothing but
Yeah.
every financial instrument has its own frequency to vibrate,
Yeah.
and that's what W D Gann actually spoke about.
Hmm.
So when we look at um, you won't actually believe your eyes or your ears when you actually see
Yeah.
that
Right.
this specific date at this specific level
Yeah.
is when you will get a reversal, and it happens. So, and if you today look at the markets in the US, it's a kind of a crash. It's a sort of a mini crash.
Yeah.
There could be a bearish correction that could start even in the Indian market as good as tomorrow. So while a lot of people in the market would be going extremely bullish,
Yeah.
um, me and Neeraj, we've been having discussions to go bearish for almost about 4 to 5 days. Now,
Right.
imagine if you already know the levels, if you know the time that it's going to happen, the kind of trades that you can get at the levels that we are anticipating things to move in our direction. It's phenomenal. It's a knowledge that only a few privileged ones would be having. And firstly, you got to also understand. You got to trust the whole process.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, Neeraj has done a phenomenal job. I think he's done a great job to sort of structure a course
Yeah.
which one thing which I also really like about what Neeraj and uh, the way he teaches is that he does not take a classes of
No.
maybe 50 to 100 students
No.
altogether, or maybe 1,000 or 2,000
Yeah.
students altogether. He will ensure that he will attend to you personally.
Yeah. So he uses more of a coaching
Yeah,
process where it's more feels like you are the valued person. It's more one to
yeah,
one. It's not like a
yes,
classroom style thing, and obviously that's
yeah.
suited your style of learning.
Yeah, because somewhere down the line, you got to understand that every student have would be having very different learning capabilities. Their learning curves are very
Correct.
different.
Correct.
Uh, and I feel he's fantastic to keep it in that kind of a format.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise he's certainly very well equipped to attract 1,000 students or 2,000 students
Yeah.
to his course. But what really amazed me is that he's not going in that direction. He wants certain selected people.
Yeah.
He wants certain things to be taught to those people,
Yeah.
and he does it phenomenally well. So yeah, so
And that's important for the brand that is trying to offer in terms of building that relationship with us. What I've just picked up from you is actually you went on a course, um, you were given the training and the coaching,
right.
but actually now that you've completed that, you are still in contact with Neeraj and you are sharing the knowledge
Oh
and
yeah,
the learning, which I think is amazing that you're doing that.
Yeah. And what's also amazing is that whilst you will see that there are many people in the fraternity that they don't understand the value of their community.
Yeah,
But Neeraj does. If you actually WhatsApp him at even 12 o'clock or maybe 1 o'clock in the night,
yeah,
you would suddenly see that there is the element of enthusiasm still is existing at
yeah,
even that hour.
yeah.
So that's phenomenal because that speaks about his passion on the subject. And I feel he's gonna go great, great heights. And I think he's just doing uh, a service that's predominantly not existing in India, or rather, I would say it's not even existing at an Asia level, or maybe even at a
Yeah,
global level. So affordable, that's so comfortable, and but he does ask you certain sacrifices. Like he does definitely said that you can't be trading for at least a month,
yeah,
and I'm actually an active full-time trader.
yeah.
So for me, that part was really difficult, but it really
Right.
served me well because at the end of the day, you're learning a skill, and I do understand where he was coming from.
Yeah,
Because you end up taking certain trades and you don't know what to do with it.
yeah.
So, but the whole journey was phenomenal. Um, yeah, so it's a great edge that I have acquired with his knowledge.
I think it's a great testimony to the methods that he's used to engage with you. And I think
Yeah.
it's a great testimony that actually, what you're saying there is that there is a level of professionalism in terms of delivering that course, which you believed in.
Yes.
But actually, beyond the course, that level of engagement is still valid, which gives you the confidence to say, if I've got a problem, I can go back to it, which I think is amazing. I think
Yes.
one of the things in terms of the theory, you've obviously been trading for a long time, and I've picked that up, and you've obviously got some basic, not more than basic experience of trading. Before you
Yeah.
went to Neeraj, did you look around on the free platforms out there, and what was that ultimate attraction to go for somebody where you were going to actually pay for a service to gain that training? What was the difference between what was on the free platforms and what actually then Neeraj delivered to you through the one-to-one coaching sessions?
There's a vast difference, I would say, because all the free platforms that necessarily, so to say, are free, but they're not free. That's almost like a marketing
Right,
catch.
right,
Any course or anything which is being offered, across the globe, they sort of throw a bait at you,
right,
and
right.
they would you to actually bite the bait. And once you're baited,
Yeah,
then that's where everything starts. At a
right.
staggered manner. That you don't know this, and then if you do
Okay,
this,
okay.
you know. Um, well, and I wouldn't want to speak, you know, um, in a negative fashion on any of the courses that exist,
Yeah,
because I feel knowledge is knowledge,
yes.
and if you're wise enough, you would know what works for you, what doesn't work for you,
So what was the
right?
hook that took you into Neeraj? So you talked about his learning methodology, you talked about how he's helped you to get to where you need to get to. But in terms of distinguishing the difference between those that are looking, fishing for that business, whereas Neeraj, you followed him for a while. What was that final hook that made you say, you know what, this is the guy that's gonna support me get to where I need to get to?
So I think it happened at two levels. One was I started following Neeraj on Twitter, and
Right.
his Twitter handles are always full of information about either a date or a specific level.
Yeah.
Uh, so I was very intrigued that how is this gentleman able to do it, right?
Right.
And the second level was that kind of sealed the deal was the discussion, maybe a 10 to 15 minute discussion, which was
Right.
quite cut and dry. to be honest with you.
Right.
When he said, and rightfully so, because he didn't know where I was and what was my
Okay.
position in terms of,
Yeah.
my years of experience in the markets and things like that. And even after learning, and even if I'm, you know, uh, trained to, analyze a specific trend and go behind it, I still consider myself to be humble and
Okay.
learning, because
Yeah.
I have a feeling that being in the markets, seeing different cycles, um, God, I consider the market as a God market, and
Right.
the market sort of teaches you, um, to follow processes.
Right.
Um, and if you're deviated from those processes, it can really hurt you.
Okay.
And with uh, with the technical knowledge, I was doing really well.
Right.
It wasn't a situation where I had a tough time in the market, because I am a very disciplined trader.
Right.
But when it came to Gann definitely gives you an edge,
Okay.
because it sort of sets you at a stage where, if the world is saying that the markets are going to go up, and if you feel, and if there is a hunch where you feel that the market is gonna sort of either have a correction or
Yeah.
it's gonna reverse, you would definitely know it. You would know it maybe like a month in advance, maybe like
Right.
15 days in advance.
Right.
And it all comes together with putting together, stuff that Neeraj actually teaches, which is
Right.
fantastic, because that's what a trader wants. The trader essentially requires that sort of element of, uh, a winning probability, as I
Right.
would put it.
Yes. Yes.
So if the probabilities are on your side, you would certainly know that, it's always a advantage, and your arsenal will never go dry, because you're playing with huge amount of capital, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you don't risk it, and if you want to win it, I think you definitely need to have a Gann knowledge.
Okay. So just based on that, one of the questions has got to be is the $1 million question. So you've learned the methodology. Have you applied the methodology? What's been the benefits of the methodology? And what would you say to other people?
Yeah, so there are many advantages. If you're going in a positional trade, you definitely know at what levels that you want to get in. You
Right.
definitely know what time a reversal can come in.
Right.
That is a massive advantage, because the cost of entering that specific trade, the cost of investment is far more, better than what you would do when you already, when the price has already moved in a certain direction, and you basically want to go with the flow. But here we are talking about those critical points the where the market is gonna just turn around. So your stop losses are much lesser. So even if you bleed, you're bleeding um, maybe 1%, but if you have a profit, that's going to be 10% up. So the risk reward ratio is 1 is to 10. A risk reward ratio could even go to 1 is to 100 for that matter. And there is a specific time factor, which is one of the biggest advantages of learning Gann, because there are many things that he teaches, which is about the natural time cycles, the anniversary dates. He talks about certain law of vibration, at which different scripts actually vibrate. Now, if you know these things, that can really help you to make or build a position in a positional strategy. Now comes the intraday trading that happens on an
Yeah.
everyday basis.
Yeah.
Uh, and that is magical, because imagine if I were to tell you that, a specific stock is going to go up in a specific minute. That's
Yeah.
how precise it is.
Wow.
And if you happen to see the move, if it happens on the upside, it's going to happen and touch a specific level, and that's where you get out.
Right.
So you essentially, it's a tool where you can easily predict a specific level. You can easily predict a specific time on an intraday basis. And sometimes, like today's trade in Reliance, I knew that there was a certain level where I would certainly get maybe 10 points or maybe 20 points. And it did happen, so that though I wasn't fortunate enough to take a trade because I was focusing on something else, but it did reverse from there.
Yeah, amazing.
That sometimes I don't even believe my eyes. Let me tell you that.
Yeah,
Let
yeah,
me be frank.
yeah.
And the way things go, uh, from there is that if your hit ratio is close to around 50%, in a bad market, if you apply your Gann concepts along with, your technical analysis, um, and of course, because I'm trained in options and futures, so I also do know how to do strategies.
Yeah.
Um, so I was telling Neeraj the other day that if you know Gann, if you know technical trading, if you know option strategies, I think it's a lethal combination, and then
Wow,
nothing can stop you in the market. So
fantastic.
yeah, I mean, it's to sum it all, I would say that it's a fabulous module that everybody should uh, add to their kitty, of knowledge,
Yeah,
and keep building from there, because it's not really easy to learn it.
yeah,
You got to be really disciplined. You need to understand, and you need to back test and forward test. Keep on doing it,
yeah,
and because markets are dynamic, everything
yeah,
keeps on changing. So you got to adjust. You got to understand how things happen. But once you do understand how things happen and you make it a part of your trading regimen, I feel it's a fantastic place then.
which brings me on to a question about, in terms of engaging with Neeraj around the Gann theory, is around, do you need, what level of understanding do you need to before you engage with this? Is it for an absolute beginner, or is it for an interim, or is it somebody who's got, some market trading background?
That's a good question. See, I would like to answer that at two levels. The first level is, imagine there is a trader who is just getting into the markets,
Yeah,
um, and there is an experienced trader like me.
yeah,
Um, I don't think so. You require huge amount of knowledge to understand and do this course. But for a person who's actually beginning to understand this course, you certainly need certain, basic software or you know um, charting handling capabilities. If you're basically new to trading, for you, if you don't even understand what candlesticks are, then it's an issue. If you
right,
don't know fundamental analysis is, it's an issue, right?
yeah,
If you don't know how to do Excel sheet calculations, it's an issue.
right,
Right? Uh, your capabilities just grow maybe 10 folds if you
right,
understand how these function. um, and of course a newbie has to put in that kind of effort.
yeah,
Then he has to understand that everything does not happen just overnight,
you're right,
right?
yes,
It's a
yes,
continuous process. Now the second kind of bucket, or a student that I would uh, uh, relate to myself, is an experienced one, right?
yeah,
So for me, like I said, I had 2 years of experience. I was lucky enough
right, right,
to sort of learn technical analysis from some of the best people in the country.
yeah,
Um, so I feel that because I knew that, um, and because Neeraj also is doing this for almost about 8 years, you
yeah,
suddenly have an instant connection.
yeah, yeah,
So
right,
then you're
right,
actually focusing onto the real topics. Then you're actually focused onto certain aspects that you're not understanding. You're basically not asking him to tell you how to draw a a
Yeah.
trend line,
Yeah,
or
I
maybe
agree.
you're
Yeah.
asking. So the basics once they're out, I feel that sky is the limit. You gotta keep on exploring. You gotta keep on understanding. There are some people um, who adopt a specific sector, right?
Right.
Um, I like to study an overall, sort of a view and form a
Yeah.
specific view in the markets. So the more you mature, I would say, the more you mature, the more you stayed in the market,
Yeah.
you will end up benefiting more.
Nice.
And if there is a person who just wants to learn certain aspects about levels and the aspects about how do you get into a specific trade, I feel that also can be learned through Gann, because the very first understanding that we've been given is that you don't want to be a greater fool in the market, because when the market is already high, you don't want to go buy something, right?
No, no,
You want
no.
to buy something which is at an absolute rock
Correct.
bottom price.
Correct.
And if a person actually understands this fact through certain levels that Neeraj predicts by using some of his theories like octave theory that he teaches is phenomenal, because
Yeah.
I know for a fact that if the stock is coming to a certain level and it touches a specific octave, it's going to have a sort of a repulsive effect.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, and at that point in time, it becomes extremely useful. And even if you're a newbie in the market, it's such an easy thing to do. You really don't require too much of knowledge about things. But
Yeah.
I would say that you gotta go through the internship to become the CEO.
Yeah. Understanding that.
Right.
Yes. So
So
just on that point, Sarah, because I'm conscious that just got a couple of minutes left of this conversation we're having today. If there was one thing you wanted to share with potential people out there, what would be that key message?
I think the best uh, courses exist in the market in India, and I would say that this is one of them.
Right.
You should definitely look at getting in touch with Neeraj Suratwala
Yeah.
and understanding how Gann concepts work,
Yeah.
which is going to definitely help you big time in your trading. And it's going to change your world of trading. So
That,
yeah,
that
so get there, do
that's
the course.
amazing. I'm sorry, I'm a bit pushed for time because the recording is going to come to an end. I'd just like to say thank you very much for your time today, and actually your honesty. I can see the passion in the learning that you've taken, and I can see how you've applied that. And you're smiling now, so I can see that's worked really well for you. And it's great
Yeah.
to share the journey that you've been on, and I think it's quite important the feedback for Neeraj, and for the audience. I am not connected to this. I'm an independent taking this interview. So, it's been an honor to meet you today. And it's been
Yeah.
fascinating listening to your journey. So thank you very, very much.
And thank you for taking the time to, have a discussion with me. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay. Thank you again. And I will speak to you again hopefully soon.
All right. Bye,
Thank you.
Girish.
Bye.